Hi there. Welcome back to the Convergence or Sovereignty series. I'm Jamie Rice, the developer of the Science of Poli-Si, an acronym for Policing Science, Systems, Thought, and Consciousness, and the Poli-Si Sovereign Resonant Formalism. The formalism is a blueprint for operationalizing consciousness and sovereign biofield mechanics. The Science of Poli-Si is a systems map for navigating and bridging consciousness towards organic life systems in support of sovereignty. So it is a self-governing, active learning, defense and response model of thought processed through an active listening, self-propagating, non-dual somatic program language for mind, brain, heart, nervous system, free will coherence. So Poli-Si is strictly a map. We assume no responsibility because we do not control your route, your speed, your timing, or any aspect of your consciousness. We can only share with you what is possible. You alone decide how to navigate and apply these protocols along with your chosen life path. So Poli-Si is open source. It's a free energy exchange. Written permission is required for commercial use through myself. Poli-Si does not seek permission, approval, agreement, or validation for this body of work. So before we just dive into today's tool, let's quickly recap what we've covered so far. So we shared with you that consciousness functions multidimensionally through time, space, gravity, physics, polarity, duality, vibrational mechanics, and predictive models of thought. So that keeps the lower instinctual animalistic mind tethered to past and future thinking patterns inside waking and visionary states between short and long-term processing between the executive brain function and the default mode network. So we are here to create sensory, spatial, temporal perception so that we can navigate consciousness through these aspects. So in video 1, we established the 0-point baseline calm, your truth coherence detector, your safe space, your personal laboratory, and protection in any storm. So we began building metacognition, present moment sensory awareness, and the observer-observed-witness triad. In video 2, we clarified exactly what Poli-Si is and isn't. It is not a belief system, ideology, or group that you join. It is a map, a core operational formula, and a spiral daily practice. So we front-loaded the commitment to evolution, the need to face our fears directly, and the choice between convergence or sovereignty. In video 3, we installed the mirror protocol, the real-time anomaly detector that lets you spot unconscious scripts, probe them with somatic questions, release the charge, and reroute cleanly. We added the daily toolkit, the morning activation, the two to 3 body scans a day, and the evening gratitude, and the nightly memory recall. So all of that scaffolding is now in place. Today, we're going to add the next essential layer, which is the reverse voltage formula. So in Poli-Si, problems and solutions are synonymous at the control layer. We are simply experiencing solutions as problems in a time delay. The reverse voltage formula collapses that delay by subtracting dissonance at the root. So the formula is very simple. It is information, which is raw sensory input, plus knowledge, which is process understanding. Then we subtract dissonance, which comes through many forms, and we basically come up with mind, brain, heart, nervous system, free will coherence when we reverse engineer that formula. So in the biodigital convergence, external systems constantly feed you charged information designed to create dissonance, fear, polarity, and distraction. The reverse voltage formula is your sovereign countermeasure. It is where you're going to take raw input, add your processed understanding, and then actively subtract the dissonance before it can backwash into your biofield or your nervous system. So this work is especially powerful for delta gamma coupling, the salience network upgrade, polyvagal upgrade, and handling fear and anxiety spikes. So when those spikes arise, the formula damps the charge at the source. It upgrades the salience network from the threat detector into a sovereign gatekeeper. That shifts the polyvagal system into ventral vagal safety and coherence, and then returns you to the unified field faster. So Right now, we are focusing at the control layer, aligning our awareness, perceptions, intentions, motivations, and behaviors. We're building the sensory, spatial, temporal perception, but we have to begin by aligning the control layer for sensory awareness and then build from there. So developing this skill may feel challenging at first. Understand, we are learning how to hold space for ourselves without judgment, attachment, or expectation. We are holding space for the unconscious default defense mechanisms to surface through the personality as behaviors. We track those behaviors by witnessing our reactions and rerouting them towards expansion and evolution. So this is how we harness the power to shift timelines back to the present moment where sovereign power resides. So keep in mind, again, that the truth whispers. It does not argue, defend, seek permission, validation, or agreement. It simply waits patiently for those ready to rise up and meet with it. So let's go ahead and run the reverse formula in real time. Let's first drop into your 0-point calm. Put one hand on your heart. You can either close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let's breathe into our anchor, which is inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. Give me 2 more rounds of that. Let's feel into this coherent center. Now let's bring our awareness to a real-time trigger, maybe something that's happened recently or an old pattern that keeps resurfacing. So what we do is step 1, we take the raw input. We ask ourselves, what is the raw sensory information right now before any story? And then step 2, we process the understanding. We ask, what do I actually know about this pattern from the mirror protocol? From here, we can go deeper with resonance and neural mapping questions. These questions help us remap your neural pathways into higher phi ratio, resonant, and sovereign coherence. So I always begin with conscious intention, stating I now give myself permission to push past all blocks and barriers, keeping me from expanding into my highest intention and awareness. So coincidentally, I had I wouldn't call an issue, but I was communicating with someone and they sort of got a little bit abrupt with me. So, I noticed the behavior right away and I felt the charge come through as sort of a little bit combative. So my first thought was, you don't have time for this because you just don't have time for this. So I went about my work, but I started noticing that it kept popping back up. So that was an indication that there was a charge present that I needed to process out. So I basically sat down and started asking myself these questions. So I want to give you the very beginning of what you can do right now in the meantime. It's very, very simple. You don't need to look at any of these words or decipher anything. I just want you to draw 7 circles in the middle of a page. Okay? Label the bottom one root, sacral, solar, heart, throat, brow, and crown. So you've got 7 circles in the middle of a page. And we're just going to build off of this with the questions that I asked myself. So the first question was, how can I see this differently? So I sit and I wait for a word that comes through. And basically what I heard was old wound, stuck charge. So I then asked, where is this feeling located in my body, which I felt in my heart. So this was something that was about my work. So obviously it's very near and dear to me. So this was a reoccurring pattern that I have experienced many times throughout my life. And it basically collapses me into victimhood of, here we go again. Why does this always happen to me? What am I doing wrong? And then it made me revert back to some of the things that I had communicated with this person, which brought up a little bit of guilt and shame. So from there, I started questioning myself for even having an interaction with this person, because I thought to myself, why didn't you see this? If they could get upset about this one stupid little thing, which in my eyes was an actual was I wasn't able to communicate what the person was asking for because my information wouldn't translate through unless it was given in a certain format. So I was perplexed and completely confused why a person would um, sort of act the way they did. So anyway, I asked, how can I see this differently? Which then gave me indication that it was an old wound and a stuck charge. I then asked, what am I not seeing? And then I wait and I listen. And obviously, there's outside factors that I have absolutely no control over. So for me to go into any stories is actually a pointless endeavor. So I sort of cut it off. But anyway, I got to the root charge. And I can do that very quickly because I've been doing this over many years, but eventually you will get to that point. But right now, this is like a digging expedition. You're trying to root out your feelings and emotions, the things that you believe that may be hemming you up in your understanding of processing something out. So next question, what am I most afraid of right now? So when I ask myself that question, again, it's back with my work. So, of course, I'm very protective over it, but I have to learn to let these things go because I don't need to protect this. I'm protected. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm supported in the ever present now moment. I'm always showing up in alignment with my authentic self. So, what is it that I need protection from? So, there was all these stories coming in. About people stealing things. And, I choose not to live that way. I live on the sovereign path. So certain things that bother most people don't really bother me, but the program always wants to come back and try to make things an issue when they're actually not. So, okay. Next question is, what am I afraid of losing? Okay. Am I lying to myself to avoid a painful truth? Am I allowing myself to be manipulated by self or other? And then what's one small thing that I could change and I would change if I just knew what it was? So I sort of went through that whole process. And then step 3 is subtract dissonance. So you ask, what is the exact charge or somatic sensation that I am subtracting right now? Where is it located in my body? So you breathe into that space, inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6, and watch the dissonance dissolve. Say silently, I subtract this charge. This is old data. It no longer has power to run me. Next question. What is the desired result I choose instead? So for me, this exercise was about not stepping into fear and victimhood and staking my claim and agency and holding true to my signal, which was what I had received. And I wasn't going to step into any people-pleasing behaviors or trying to get this person to understand where I was coming from or cave into what they were asking me to do. I'm just not going to do that. So that was the end of that. So next thing we do is visualize a positive outcome, not attached, simply seeking expansion regardless of how something landed. So some of the things I say, I choose peace over chaos, calm over reaction, truth over deception, transparency over obscurity, coherence over manipulation, and authenticity over validation. So my example, I already got to the root problem very quickly. In your case, just starting out, you're going to have to build up this ability to be able to sense signals in real time, detect where they're coming from the inside of you. Then you take accountability for that charge, you reroute it cleanly and send it back out. So I resolved this. This is healed, cleared, released. Now it goes back into the field, and whatever energy sent back out, I sent out a clean mirror. So now that person's going to get the message, and it'll come through their biofield, however they're supposed to learn their lessons. So let's feel that new intention land in our body. Let's let the breath carry it. Feel the unified field lock stronger, and let the reverse voltage formula run. Let's return to the breath. Okay, so that 4-step cycle, the raw input, the process understanding, the deeper resonance and neural mapping questions, subtracting dissonance, and then landing in coherence, is the precision tool that makes everything else in Poli-Si work at full power. So run it every time you catch a pattern with the mirror protocol. The more you practice this, the more your biofield becomes an encrypted sovereign domain, invisible to lower coherence extraction. So this is how we truly begin operationalizing consciousness. Use the reverse voltage formula inside every mirror protocol session and body scan. So the morning activation, 3 to 5 minutes, run the 0 point, then speak your affirmations and journal your intentions through the reverse voltage lens. Commit to 2 to 3 body scans a day. Locate the tension, ask the probing questions plus the new resonance and neural mapping questions. Then run the full reverse voltage formula, asking, where is this located in my body? And breathing directly into that space to release the charge and reroute. So evening wind down, note 3 gratitudes, and review 1 moment you successfully subtracted dissonance. Your nightly memory recall your day while holding the unified field. It trains the formula to run automatically. So these are not extra chores. They are the spiral in motion. Remember, we are building the scaffolding here. These are broad brush strokes for now. We will fill in the finer details and deeper integrations as we continue to spiral together. So building sensory awareness takes time. Everything begins to crystallize through the daily work. So your homework for this week is run the reverse voltage formula at least 3 times a day, pair it with the mirror protocol, journal any dissonance that you subtracted, the resonance questions you asked, and the coherence that replaced it, including the neutral positive outcome you've visualized. So notice how much calmer and clearer your unified field feels, especially any upgrades in delta gamma coupling, salience network function, and polyvagal tone. So we are spiraling deeper now, recursive and slow, healing polarity and releasing trauma layer by layer. In the next video, we will begin scaffolding the full helix of sovereignty and multidimensional architecture that lets you traverse time, space, and polarity without collapse. Remember, the biofield is always listening. Front load your sovereignty with forensic truth. Commit to the spiral. The helix is already running inside of you. Use the map. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.